Hey guys and gals, boy, I just got to show y'all my 1970 John Deere rat rod tractor. And everybody knows you can't have a good rat rod unless you have a beer keg as the fuel tank. And that's what we got right there. And that's going to feed all of those 60 horsepower that this thing puts out. Okay guys, I'm just kind of joking. I am going to be making a fuel tank for this thing right here. I'm not going to be using that. That's too big. That won't fit where it needs to go, and I'll just go into the rest of the video. Hey guys and gals. Okay, today's project is I'm making a fuel tank for my tractor. Now, some time ago, the fuel tank started leaking, and I tried to weld it, and it cracked in other places and started leaking in other places. So I got rid of it, and what I did is I just put this, this is a Marine 3-gallon tank in here, and this works great. This works fantastic. The only problem is I can only use the tractor for about 2.5 hours. Or you can run it right up to 3 hours and run it out of fuel, and then you've got to bleed all the injector lines out there. It's a real pain in the butt and very time consuming. So I can only run the tractor, say, about 2.5 hours. I have to get off and fuel it, and then it's a real pain to try and fill that with this cover on here. And I've taken all this stuff off because I'm going to be making a new tank. So I'm probably going to cheat and use something I have on hand, and hopefully it'll hold fuel. So let me get the rest of this stuff out of here, and we'll see if the tank will fit in here, and we'll go from there. Alright, I want to undo these, and I don't want to get fuel all over the place, so you're going to see my very unique plug right there. That's a wire nut. We'll see if I can hold the camera and do all this. That's not going to work out. I want to show you guys a little trick I do for fuel lines, and that is a red wire nut. We use them for electrical, actually a red wing nut. And whenever I'm dealing with fuel lines, I just stick one of those in there and clamp it down. That way it doesn't drain all over the place. Now, I wouldn't use these on a running engine, and I wouldn't use these you know, to block something off permanently. This is just temporary. I'm going to hook all this stuff back up. But to keep that fuel from dripping out all over the place, these make a nice little 3/8 inch plug. Okay, well, by now you've probably seen I'm going to be using one of my decommissioned beer kegs as a fuel tank. Now, I know that a lot of people use you know, beer kegs for their rat rods and stuff. Haven't heard about anyone using one for a tractor, but this one is 7.75 gallons and what is it, 29 1/3 liters. So this is going to give me around 8 hours of run time, or actually 7.5 hours, and that's a lot more run time than that right there, which that's just 3 gallons, and you know, like I said, I get 2.5 hours out of it before I have to refill it. The question is this going to fit underneath this cowling right here? So I'm gonna have to put that on there. I may have to take this off and 90 it. This is where the fuel is going to come out of. This is just a vent. I need to put some type of sight glass system on here. That's another thing I never liked about that one over there. You could never tell, you know, how full it was or empty. You always had to put a stick in it or something. Okay, well, let's see if this will fit, or if we have to put some modifications in here. Well, according to my calculations and prestidigitations, you can see that I was off a little bit, and the reason I'm off is if you look down there where that yellow part is, I measured from there to the top of this when I took the hood off, and I didn't pull the tank out, and if you look under there, it kind of raises up a little bit, and that's where I'm off. So I'm going to have the joy of resoldering that piece off of there and putting that other piece on there at 90 degrees. Okay, alright, that's what we got to do. Let's do it. You can see how that center piece right there raises up a good, I don't know, inch and a half or whatever. But that's where I was off. I should have, like I said, pulled everything out and then measured it. Well, I got that heated up and tapped it, and it came off. So I just need to let that cool off and clean that up, and then weld that thing on there like this, and that way it won't stick out as much. Alright, let's let it cool off. Alright, I got that thing sanded down right there, and I also sanded that flat so it could just sit up here like this. I'm going to put some flux on here and on there before I weld it, and then well, solder it. Okay, let me get that done. On stainless, you have to use a carburizing flame. Alright, well, put that thing on there. Make sure it's on there straight. Oh, that thing is hot. Alright, well, let's see if we can solder it. To heat up the fitting more than this jug right here, because the fitting has more mass on it. So we'll heat that up. And like I said, if you use you got to use a carburizing flame. If you just do it with straight heat, it does nasty things to stainless steel. Now the regular steel here doesn't matter. Now this is galvanized. You probably don't want to breathe that, so. It's actually turning out pretty nice right there. Let's turn it. Not too bad at all. Turning it. Turn it some more. Oh, it's just about flowed all the way around there. Alright, let's take a look at it. Alright, we gotta let that cool off. With this type of solder, if you bump it, if I were to hit that, it could knock it loose. So we're gonna let that cool off, and I think that's gonna fit in there a whole lot better than the other way I was gonna do it. Okay, I'll hit that with a wire wheel and it'll look even better. Well, that looks so much better. You can see that this piece is sitting on here flat now, and I've got a little bit of room right there. It's not, you know, pushing that piece up right there. The only problem I'm going to have is, you can see the 90, and this is the this is actually the coupling that I've pulled off of there, and this is the hood, and of course that's the exhaust, and that's where the radiator cap is. You can see this is real close here, so I've got to do a really short turn really quickly. I may have to see if I can, I've got a half coupling somewhere, or I might have to use hose or something, I don't know. But anyway, that's the way it's looking so far. Alright, I've got one of these drilled out, and I went ahead and tapped it, and it's just 1/4 inch NPT. And I'm going to be using this clear fuel line as my sight gauge for the fuel tank. So that way I know, you know, I can't overfill it, and I know when I'm running out. So, alright, well, let me get this drilled out over here, and we'll get this, this thing put into action. Alright, the plan is to put a piece of hose between here, and then that'll give me a sight level gauge, but I'm only going to get from here to here, and if I you know, want to run it a little lower, I'm losing part of the tank here. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm just going to move this and put this parallel like that, and then run it like this, and then that will give me more sight out of my glass. Okay. All right. Well, let's get that installed. I wanted to show you all how the pickup is working, and I'm going to have it where it draws fuel off of the bottom, and this is just a reducing fitting here. Let me pull this out right here. And you can see that's just soldered in there. And the way it works is this goes down in here like this. Of course, I need to cut it off. I wanted it long rather than too short. And that just screws into there. You put this fitting in here, and then you put your fuel line, and my fuel pump will actually draw up, I think, about 10 feet. So if you have a gravity fed lift pump, then you need to, I guess, feed it out of the bottom or somewhere lower than the pump, so or the fuel has to be higher than the pump, so it'll lift it to the injector. Okay, I hope that made some sense here, but that's how it works. And this over here is going to be a return. Whatever fuel the injectors don't use, it is going to return into that. Okay, I've got this put on here. This needs to be zip tied on there. I need some hose clamps like that before I do that. I've got the return fuel is going to be coming in here, and I also needed a vent. I can either vent it here, or I can vent it here where you put the fuel at. I think I'm just going to put a vent here, and this is the where the fuel is going to be drawn out of. So I'm short. I don't know what I was thinking. I picked up the wrong fitting for this. I could, you know, pull that out, but that has that copper pipe attached to it. It's not going to work if I do that. So I need to get the right fitting. I need to get a couple hose clamps, and I think I'll be in business. All right, let's see. Okay, we got it all together. I've got everything in except for the draw tube. I've got the vent and the overflow and all that stuff in. This came out pretty nice, I think, but we're going to see if it'll hold water, if our idea will hold water. So, all right, let's put some water in there. There we go. She's full, and I noticed that this is not real accurate unless this is level, so I'll probably just, you know, fill it right up to here when I'm putting fuel in it. But we're gonna let this set and see if we get any drips. You know, you see water, but that's from it overflowing when I filled it up. So we'll let it set for a while and see how she does. All right, I didn't see any leaking, no water dripping, so we'll put a little diesel in here. I'll just put it up to here. Diesel has more of a propensity to leak than water around cracks, but this thing right here is holding water. So, like I said, the real test is going to be when we put some fuel in it. I put some diesel in it to see if there was any leaks. Mainly, what I'm concerned about is this soldered fitting right here leaking, and I don't seem to see anything. Looks pretty good. This hose is not leaking, and I've got this on here. That's a clear PVC hose. I got these hose clamps. I got this in here so no dust or, you know, a lizard or whatever won't get in there. Okay, well, let's put that in the tractor. I got everything hooked up. I do need a couple hose clamps right here, and this right here comes around and goes to this, and that is a vent valve. And Also, if the tractor ever were to roll over, the fuel's not going to leak out of it. So that vents it, and it's a check valve. It goes upside down, no fuel comes out. Alright, and we got that down there, and everything is looking pretty good. I just need a couple more little things to get this ready to rock and roll.